and welcome to Mimi's Sketchbook. Today my illustration was inspired by Paul David Tripp's book, New Morning Mercies, and today is August 20th. About a week ago, when I stepped out my front door, I saw a hummingbird hovering right near my gutters, and I wondered what could be of interest to you. So I walked around and looked up and saw what could have been honeybees or maybe wasps or yellow jackets or hornets. I couldn't tell what they were, but they were flying in and out from under the metal fascia that's right beneath the roof line. And as much as I hoped it would, it didn't magically disappear all on its own. So I called someone that did bee removal, and we talked a little bit, and he said, well, it could be bees or it could be hornets. He goes, if it's hornets, we kill them, but if it's bees, we'll do an extraction. So a couple of days later, he came out and looked at it and said, oh, I think those are hornets. But I can't be sure until I get a good look at them. So he stood in front of where he thought the hive might be located, and he held up what sort of looked like a gun and pointed it at it. And there was a little red laser dot where he was moving it around. You could see where he was pointing it as the laser moved. And he said, yep, I think this is where it is. But the sun was shining on the siding, and he said, we're going to have to go inside and get a better look and a more accurate reading. And I asked him, what is that tool you're using? And he told me it was an infrared thermal imaging gun. And he explained that the hive generates heat. And with this tool, we'll be able to see exactly where it is. So we went inside and found the wall where we thought the hive had to be located. And when he pointed the thermal imaging gun at the wall, it only took him a second to find it. And it was amazing how crystal clear the image was of that hive. And it was all in colors, and the center was white, and he said that's where the queen is, right there. And then it went to yellow, orange, and then a red. And he says it looks like it's the size of a dinner plate. It's round, and you can see over here where it's starting a second hive. And he said he could tell that it was definitely hornets and not honeybees by the shape of the hive. I was really blown away by that technology. How he could stand maybe 4 feet away and sense the difference in the heat that was coming off from even behind the wall. And the wall isn't a regular drywall, it's the old-fashioned plaster. So it's rather thick. So it just took him a little bit. He went and sprayed the outside, and he drilled a couple of holes inside and sprayed some chemical in, and said that that should take care of it. The hive should be dead in a couple of days. Today, in his devotions, Paul Tripp talks about the importance of relationships and community, and he specifically talks to people who would rather isolate themselves because they've experienced hurt and disappointment in the past and would just rather not get involved. And I totally understand that statement, and maybe you do too. But he goes on to say, that if we are not looking at our relationships through the lens of God's amazing grace, we are not seeing them accurately. But that's not easy to do. So I had this idea. What if I had an infrared thermal imaging gun that I could point at someone, and when it turned on, I wouldn't see the walls or the flaking paint or the pile of debris from the past that my own eyes just can't get beyond. But with the thermal imaging gun, I would be able to look past all the junk and just see the person that God sees when He looks at us. And that pure image would be so amazing that I would be drawn to that person and would want to have fellowship with them, just like God wants to have fellowship with us. Now all I have to do is get a hold of one of those guns. So thank you for joining me today at Mimi Sketchbook. I hope this was an encouragement to you, and if it was, could you please give it a thumbs up, or maybe even share it with someone. And in that way, YouTube will help us to share the good news. So thank you for joining me at Mimi Sketchbook, and God bless.